Particularly in dating men, because you'll discover that like some of their views kind of lend themselves to making excuses for why it happened.
It's tugging and pulling. That ain't your doctor no more. or it is a different kind of doctor.
I've heard stories about the plant. I'm just,
who would you date on a sitcom? Right? It's not so direct, but it's actually like gonna let you know. All right, so if they pick so and so, then what does that tell you about that?
I'm up to it.
Yeah,
I'm up to it.
Are we?
I'm with it.
Are we
going there? I'm up to it.
That's the show, Dada.
Yeah. What's going on, ladies
What
and
it do?
gentlemen?
What it do?
Y'all know what time it is, baby. It's Friday. We are back live like we never left. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Assuming we can still call you that. Welcome once again to another episode of Up to It, Down to It. We back here in season 2, ready to have a good time. Got some good stuff to talk about today. So I'm not going to run my mouth too much, but y'all know who I am, the great and terrible Trey. And I'm just going to have some fun tonight, man. So try not to start too much controversy, not stir up the pot too much. No promises. They look like they don't believe me at all. They shouldn't. They're right for not believing me. Anyway, that being said, man, let's get right on to it, man. Okay, last one. All right, to my left, but to the right on the screen, right there, my man. Immovable Force. Kev, talk to us, my brother.
Oh man, what it do, everybody? Happy Friday. Glad to be here with you all. It's family over everything. Super excited because I'm actually just getting home not that long ago. My boy got his first haircut, so having a super emotional dad moment. Y'all know how we feel about it. And this was a terrible day, so I'm grateful for the way that it turned around. So I had to go back to Old Faithful. This is Captain Morgan Private Stock. Captain Morgan is not meant to be had by itself, but private stock is so smooth and just sweet enough that you can drink that with no chasers whatsoever. So that's my go-to for tonight. However, I also got a little cooler to chill with. Y'all know the Seagram's coolers are always good. So that's the mixed berry. And for my wine drinkers, I'm gonna bring this one back one time because I told y'all we're gonna find good things at a good price. All right, so this is a sweet red. Bottles, I mean, you find them as low as $8.99, but they're typically about $9.99 or $10.99, somewhere around that price point. good flavor, not too sweet, but definitely sweet enough that if you're like not a dry person, this is something that you would enjoy. But I would say just under that Moscato window. So you got some options for tonight. Pour a drink for me, and I know some people who are having terrible days, so this one is for you as well, man. Here's to a good Friday night.
Yeah.
Indeed.
That's what's up. Hey, LB, we can't hear you, man.
Oh man, you know
There we
what?
go.
I hit the button. There we go. I was just saying, push the goddamn button. I was just saying, yeah, man, that's good stuff. We definitely gonna have a little bit of healing, I think, this evening. You know what I'm saying? So I think there'll be a little bit of that. But that's all good. All right. That being said, Caddy Corner, right under Kev, right there, bottom, right hand side with the hair. That guy. Kamikaze, talk to us, brother.
Hey, what it is? Happy Friday. Happy pumpkin spice season, y'all. It's your boy Q, aka the Kamikaze. You know I'm good to have y'all in here, fam. And also ready to get into a little bit of entertainment. It's cold. People trying to bundle up. Why not cut on the TV or go to the movies and bundle up with that special one? Look, all I don't know about y'all. I'm ready to get into some movies, talk about some topics, dish some dirt. What's good, everybody?
There we go.
Yeah.
We're gonna definitely get into some of that movie talk, man. We're gonna definitely get into that. Looking forward to that. That said, down bottom, the inspirational,
Oh
the
man.
King.
What's up, everybody?
What's up, LB?
It's your man, King Rich in the building. Hope everybody's having a fantastic day. Hope you're fine like wine, like I always say. Just a word on the day, man. And Kev kind of alluded to it when he was talking about people having a rough day. And this one especially hit home when it came to my phone. And I even had on the shirt, like I was like, nope, not today, right? But then the message came to my phone and said, let go and let God. Do your best and let God do the rest. Remember that he is God and you are not. Let go and let God be God all by himself. And that just spoke to me like, man, I just got to let the day be the day, man. Not the day for me, but it's the day for the man upstairs. So y'all be blessed, man. We got a good show for y'all. Let's get into it.
I love
Absolutely.
it. Love it. I love it. That's what I like to hear, man. So for everybody that had a great day, let's continue those good vibes. And for everybody that had a rough day, we're
Jump
going
on these
to vibes
vibes.
around.
There you
All
go.
about good vibes today. All about good vibes today. I'll tell you what, man, family over everything is vitally important. And we're going to talk about some family stuff, some family matters. We're going to get into that both literally and figuratively in a little bit. But before we get into that, Q, you had mentioned getting with your significant other and going to see a movie or something like that. Now, I'm going to tell you something. I seen a couple movies that were coming out, and I know that's your thing. So what do you see that's out right now? What you looking forward to?
Well, I got a handful, bro. As we all know, with movies comes remakes, and remakes bring new movies. So right now, what I'm looking forward to is to see what they got cooking up. I know John Wick Chapter 4 is getting ready to drop within 2023. We got a few, I say horror movies, Scream 6. For those ladies who are in our audience, hey ladies, y'all get to pay y'all final respects to Magic Mike because he's having his last dance in 2023.
Wow. Are we clapping for that? Are we clapping for that?
I didn't know.
I mean,
Look, call it cheesy, but hey, it is what it is. It was corny for me. All right, and we also got, for my gamers out there, Dungeons and Dragons, and one of my childhood favorites,
Dungeons and
Super
Dragons
Mario.
is a movie?
Yes, dropping in 2023. Dungeons and Dragons will be in theaters.
Interesting.
But my favorite,
okay.
my favorite, Super Mario Brothers is coming
Yeah.
in 2023. I don't know
Yeah.
I've
about
seen that
y'all,
one.
but I'm
I've
in
seen that one. Definitely ready for that one.
Yeah.
in there. I don't know if y'all seen the trailers yet. We're going to drop
I think
y'all
I got
off
that.
with
Let's-
something to see. Let's get
Yeah,
into it.
let's look at that. Let's look at
Yeah.
that trailer, man. That thing, I'm excited about this one. And for if you watch the old Mario Brothers movie that came out many moons ago, that travesty, that god awful travesty that came out, that there was nothing good about that movie. Okay, not a thing. Not a
Not
thing. I'm still
a-
mad.
Oh,
I'm still mad about it. But anyway, yeah, that's right. Yeah, shoot.
Big man.
Anyway, messed up my dang childhood, man. Ridiculous. Whole childhood ruined. But nah, we got the Super Mario Brothers trailer actually right here. Let's take a quick look, man. Y'all tell me what y'all think. I'm excited about it so far, but y'all tell me what y'all think.
Behold, the king of the Koopas!
Open the gates!
Hey, it looks mean. I like it, man.
That is like
It looks mean. Like I'd even go see that in theaters, man. It looks
Yeah.
tough. It
that
looks
that,
tough.
Koopa, that Koopa statue goes hard in the paint.
Yeah.
listen. And it gives you the vibe of the old nostalgia, the introductory games. So I'm ready to dive in.
Yeah, man, this one looks good. This one looks good to me. I'm gonna leave it at that. I ain't gonna. Well, no, you know what? There was one other part. Hold on.
Holding.
That is but a taste of our fury. Do you yield? I do not. I finally found it. Now who's gonna stop me?
I don't need to see anything with Mario.
Yeah.
I saw the Bowser
Yeah.
part. That's all I need to see. That's
Yeah.
good. That's good for me. That's a win. I'm up to
Yeah.
it on Super Mario Brothers. You're up to it.
That's right.
Cool, man. What else you got? What else you got for us, Q?
Also, since we going to the Mario Brothers movie, since we all know we got Keegan Michael Key in that movie, who's also in the next big movie that's coming out that I want to see, which is Wonka, which is going to a prequel about the young Willy Wonka and how he got into the business of the Wonka factory.
Interesting.
I'm gonna go against the grain here. I'm over it. Nah, I'm gonna pass. Just like the next Fast and Furious that's coming out. Y'all heard about that? I'm
Fast
gonna
and Furious 40?
Another one?
Yeah,
Fast 40?
Fast 10 is dropping.
yeah. I'm
Fast
gonna
40.
pass on both of those.
Fast 30.
Might have to.
Vin Diesel's like 80.
I was gonna say this is fast AARP. Fast retirement.
Fast wheelchairs.
You know?
I don't
Yeah.
know.
Oh,
Fast
come on.
SSI.
Come on, man.
That would be kind of tough though if they did a Fast and Furious and it was racing on wheelchairs and tricked them joints out. That would be kind of tough.
They gonna put nitros in the wheelchair? Oh man.
Hell yeah.
See who's,
man.
see who's the first person to get to the pudding? Would I?
It's a furious race to the pudding.
Yeah, I'm okay.
I'm sorry. You mentioned pudding, and I just went straight to Bill Cosby in a
Yeah.
wheelchair, racing, and then pudding. And I could only imagine. You said pudding. Yeah, I don't know.
We didn't race to the Quaaludes though, you know.
Yeah. Well,
Hey,
all right.
is there Quaaludes in the pudding? What if there's
Yeah,
Quaaludes in the pudding?
man. All right.
If anything, it would probably be Viagra.
Maybe both. Quaaludes with do those mix well together?
If it's
Does
up,
that
then
mix
it's
well
stuck.
together?
I don't.
If it's up and it's stuck.
We're shooting for cancellation. We're shooting for
Yeah.
cancellation.
Yeah.
Yep, because this is what we do. This is what we do. Y'all let us know. Hey,
Okay.
can y'all
all
keep
good.
track in the comments on how many times we almost got canceled tonight?
Are we going for a record tonight?
What is our record?
I feel like that's the usual, but you know.
What's our record? How many times have we almost got canceled for real? Like,
How long have we
let's
been
say
rolling?
something cancelable.
What did Yin Yang Twins say? About 50, 11?
Easy,
11 times.
easy.
Yep.
So anyway, all right, cool. So we got
Yeah.
John Wick coming out. We got Willy Wonka, the prequel coming out. You know, you said, Rich, you said you over that. Kev, what you think about this Willy Wonka?
I gotta side with Rich. It's just, I mean, in general, I'm sick of remakes and prequels and sequels and all of that. I just, you know, which is probably why I don't get to the movies that often. You know, but there's the Mario one hits. I'm actually waiting on the Wakanda Forever, and that's
Yeah.
probably like my near and distant future.
Did y'all
Yeah,
see
true
Black
story.
Adam yet?
I have not.
I have not seen it yet. I want to see that. Yeah, that I want to see.
Yeah. I haven't seen it yet either, but I've heard that movie was great. So, yeah, if there's one I'm looking forward to, it's Black Adam for sure. Super Mario for sure. John Wick 4 seems interesting, but what more can you do with John Wick?
I was getting ready to say that's like that one. Even though I really like John Wick, all three movies I actually like, and I'm like, ooh, like what direction could you even? I'm probably gonna wait for it to come out, streaming. So,
Yeah.
but still, I'd probably still watch it as long as they don't go to 10.
They about to be like the Land Before Time. Y'all remember that? They made like 30 of those.
Oh man.
Like,
How many is that? Like 55?
Littlefoot's feet got cut off at a point, like, you know.
Littlefoot got the sugar foots. I had to get it cut off, man.
Like you're doing too much, you know.
I mean, they really were doing too much though. Like, and the bad part about the Land Before Time, in my opinion, only the first one was good. Only the first one. They have like, I think there's literally like 15 of them, 15 or 20 of them.
Which that's how it tends to be. Like it's very hard to outdo the first one. I'm trying to think of what like sequel I actually liked more than the first. Maybe Bad Boys 2 for me. I like Bad Boys 2. I like Bad Boys, but
More than Bad Boys 1 though?
For me, yes. I thought it was
okay.
a little more
Actually, I would have to agree because of the cinematography, the action, like all the above was just another level. Like with majority of the scenes. Yeah, actually, I would definitely agree with that.
And then probably Best Man Holiday, like that. I mean it did everything for me. It tugged at the heartstrings. It, had the feel goods of the first one. Like, it just like, that one was the one. Like the cancer part had me in the theater in tears. Like,
Yeah. Can't argue with that.
True story.
At all.
True
Yeah.
story.
Okay. So there's a couple of sequels that hit. I like Terminator 2 over Terminator 1.
Fair.
Secret
of the Ooze.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. And then it was all downhill for the Ninja Turtles after that. Like
But that's the new one coming out in 23 too.
No, really, a new Ninja Turtles coming out.
Every year, basically.
Shoot, I think there's a new Terminator coming out.
Does he finally get terminated
He's
for real this time?
I just want to know. I wonder how they're gonna do it because they can't. Are they gonna bring Arnold back? Because he's like 70.
I don't know.
Again, stop it, people. Stop.
And we just keep paying their money. We just keep paying our money, and he just keep pulling up every time.
I get it. They just beating us with a dead horse. Everything coming. House
Yep.
party and some more stuff, man.
That house party one looks interesting. But still, same sentiment. We just doing the same thing over and over again.
I'm sorry. It wasn't Terminator. It was Transformers. My bad. It was Transformers.
Yeah.
But yeah,
But still,
that
too
too.
many.
Same difference. Yeah.
Same premise.
Yeah.
Too many.
So,
Yeah.
you know.
All right. Enough of that. Enough of that.
Yeah.
Enough of that. Actually, do we got our glasses up? Because I skipped this one's for you. So that was nice and lighthearted, but it's about that time.
And for the record, this is a big glass, so this is like a lot of shots. But let's go.
We're taking all the shots today, baby. So first and foremost, ladies and gentlemen, this is for you. Thanks for tuning in. Shout out to everybody that's here with us tonight in the comments. By the way, cheap plug. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you know whenever we drop a video like this one. More stuff is coming. We just gotta, we gotta get some stuff together, but more stuff is coming. Trust and believe.
Tell a friend and tell a friend.
Tell a friend and tell a friend, man. All right.
Yeah.
All right. That being said, we about to go rapid fire back to back. So we just took one shot. We about to take another one.
Let's get
Again.
it. Ain't nobody
Let's
scared.
do it, man. Let's do it. Family Matters. We brought it up last week. Family Matters means so much. It's a great show. It's also a great phrase. It's also something to remind people of that family does matter. Family over everything. Shout out to my man's Kev. So that's it. First, we're going to talk about the show. So let's get our glasses ready.
Let's get
One more
into
time
it.
for Family Matters. Let's do it.
Chew.
Speaking of Family Matters, my son is literally falling out of the bed sleep, so I'm gonna be back.
All right, say no more. We live, baby. That's what happens.
That's what it happens.
If anybody thought we wasn't practicing what we preach, now we dads over here too.
That's right.
All right. So, real quick, because I do want to get everybody's feedback. Real quick, Q, let's start with you, man. What was your thoughts on just the show Family Matters, man? What kind of impact did it have on you, if any?
I always faithfully watched Family Matters growing up, and as a kid, it gave me a good picture on the ups and downs in everyday life in a Black family. We also have good times, we had bad times, but as I got older and watched it, I began to get certain qualities from different characters to learn from, and also picked up some things that people probably didn't pick up on after watching the show. So it taught me a lot of good, valuable lessons within everyday life.
Agreed. Well said.
Yeah, that's what's up.
Rich, what about you, man? Real quick.
Well, it was part of what was it, TGI Fridays?
Yeah,
TGI. It was one of it was basically the anchor, right, of TGI Fridays, and you rush to get home and get in front of the TV to watch that. I don't think at that time there was, well, I would say it was still part of that, brand new, like, oh man, you get to see people who look like you on TV, type of deal with modern at that time, right? Modern things going on that you could relate to. And so, I mean, just watching it for what it was with the different just family issues that they went through. I think, man, it was a great show. I think it was a great show. How did it have an impact on my life? I mean, I'm grateful to have seen that, and I guess I didn't really compare it to my life. Like I had my mom, my dad in the picture, but at the same time, they worked like 2 jobs each and whatnot. So the dynamic was different there, where Carl was a police officer, right? And so even though those police officers can have like crazy hours, I guess actually, so I guess, yeah. So with that, maybe I did could relate to, those crazy hours that police officers work versus, my dad or, my parents who were out there like, getting it, trying to make it better for us. So, I definitely appreciated the show though.
For sure, good points. Ooh, this is about to be good. It's about to be good. Yeah. While he was going, we were just saying, what was your thoughts on the show? How did it impact you, if at all? And what have you seen as far as parallels from the show and in the community?
Well, first of all, I'm still waiting for Judy to come back down the steps.
I forgot all about that.
She went upstairs and made her OnlyFans.
I forgot all about that.
She got sent to her room to never be seen again.
Never be seen again.
That might have
Ever.
been the start of like trafficking kids or something. I don't know, but I'm just saying she disappeared.
That would change the whole wholesome aspect of the show.
No, but all jokes aside, I looked at Family Matters as again, just a good wholesome like family show. And for again, and I'll always talk about it, somebody who grew up without a father, between Family Matters, Fresh Prince, shows like that, we got to see authoritative father figures who still like would is the word I'm looking for, defer to their wives at points, and found strength in their partners, which was a good dynamic to see for the household. A lot of lessons to be learned, which is kind of what I took away from every show, that there was always a lesson to take away. I looked at Steve Urkel a lot, and just the way that I was. Like, I didn't grow up a nerd, but I wasn't like, I was kind of middle of the pack. So like, I was the one who, kind of was known, but not popular, if that makes sense. So to have people like aware of who you are, but still not recognizing all of the like good qualities about you, is kind of a place I found myself in. So I could see a lot of Steve Urkel in me, particularly when he started to switch back and forth between Steve Urkel and Stefan Urkel, and deciding like, truly, who are you going to be? You have this brilliant brain, and somebody's going to appreciate that and appreciate you for who you are. So you don't have to transform yourself in order to like be, what you think people want you to be, and that kind of thing. So like, that was the biggest takeaway for me for the show. But I think it was an excellent reference point for a number of different reasons.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. Totally agree. And for me, it was, it was just a good, funny show. I saw a lot of Steve Urkel and myself, but also in the older son, Eddie, I saw a lot of me and him too. Especially, I guess I think their final season was 98-ish, 98, 99-ish, around there. And so I would have been a teenager, about 15, 16 around then. So certainly by that time they were in syndication. So, you know, you're able to go back and watch the older episodes. So as I moved into my teenage years, I definitely identified with Eddie in some of his struggles, especially some of his battles he had with his dad. You know what I mean? A lot of those and a lot of push and pull. Um, so there was a lot to that show. Again, a great show, very layered. So we're going to talk. I think we should talk at the top. We should start right from the top with the family, talking about Carl and Harriet Winslow. And kind of, for me, I see today, and I go back and watch that show now, and I see some dynamics that I think are good. Obviously, both were working. One of you made the point that Carl would defer to Harriet often, right? That happened a lot. You know, Carl was bullheaded. Is that a good word to use?
He
Kind of
definitely
bullheaded.
could be
Spot
that.
on.
Yeah, certainly had his moments for sure. You know, but his mom, he was accountable, I think, at the same time. You know, his mama would be able to reel him in. His wife would be able to reel him in. Sometimes his kids would reel him in. You know what I'm saying? So he was very accountable in that regard. So let me ask y'all this: did you ever see Carl as a model, quote unquote, for a father figure growing up?
So I don't know if I would like. So yes and no, I guess is where where I'm going. Like there were definitely things where you know I could see the model in him. So for instance, when I want to say Rachel's place got ransacked, and like it was a group of like dudes that was about to take Urkel out and like beat him up. And it may not have been that. I think he was maybe Urkel was at a bar or something, like someplace where he shouldn't have been and was
No,
about
no,
to
no.
beat.
That was Richard's place. That was Richard's place.
Okay.
Yeah,
So like
yeah,
they were about to walk him out, and then you saw them backpedaling, and here came Carl, you know, to save the day. So like he
right.
had a lot of moments where he stepped in right on time, you know, and played that hero role. And that's a very, you know, masculine place to be, a very, you know, exciting. Like those moments in TV shows and movies bring a smile to my face because it makes you,
Yeah,
you know, makes you feel good. You know, there were points in the show, and I think a lot later on, so like 97, 98, when Eddie was trying to find himself and decided that he wanted to become a cop. Then you saw like those real good like father son moments when Eddie got shot and he was wearing Carl's bulletproof vest, and like you know, so you got to see some really good things from Carl that made him more of a model father. And I think, like you
yeah,
said, towards the end you got the better parts of Carl. I think in the beginning, and this could have just been a writer's thing, as they were trying to figure out what direction to take the show in. Carl was almost a heel as a father because he was so bullheaded, so angry, that kind of thing. So like there were points.
for sure.
And I definitely agree with you on that. Even looking at I would say even looking at his relationship towards Steve, how in the very beginning he began to despise Steve, but as we got further and further into the show, we can emotionally see him mature and actually liking Steve and admiring Steve and vice versa. Also, another thing I kind of picked up from him was one thing that I think is key in parenting is being able to admit when you're wrong with your child, but also at the same time let them know that you're encouraging them and you're in their corner. And I think we got some really good examples throughout each of the seasons with Carl and his relationship, especially with Laura and Eddie, where they felt like they needed that father figure and he was able to give that fatherly advice.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. That's a good point too,
yeah,
actually.
that is a good point. I think, yeah, if I remember correctly, Eddie was like something about won't you stop what do you say? stop being like a cop and be more of a father or something like that.
And be my dad,
Mhm.
Yeah. Remember that.
Something
Yeah.
like that. So yeah, that's a good point. Super good point.
My bad. I thought you were going somewhere else with that. My fault.
I want to get to the relationship aspect.
Well,
of
I mean,
Carl
'cause-
and Harriet too. I mean,
That's a good point too. Go ahead, LB. What you were saying?
No, I was saying that does lead into, you know, the relationship. You can see how it builds up. Q already
Yeah.
touched on it, you know, the fact that basically Urkel grew on him. I mean, and it's inevitable because, you know, how often I don't even remember seeing Urkel's parents. I don't think we ever do, right?
No.
So
You saw his basement,
Yeah.
but you never saw his parents.
yeah,
Yeah,
so,
he mentions them, but you never see him.
And you know, fun fact for the people who may not know, Urkel was supposed to be a like cameo appearance on
Yeah.
Family,
yeah, one time.
and because his initial episode was so well received that they then had to write him in as almost a main character to the show. So you know, yeah, Family Matters was special.
So to that point, actually, it's interesting. So a little bit of storyline, a little bit of reality, right? Obviously, that's the reality is that it was supposed to be a cameo. But if we're gonna go in storyline, Carl, if I'm not mistaken, doesn't he call Steve over to try to help his daughter get a date for like a
yes.
dance or something like that?
Yeah. Nobody asked Laura to the dance, and he didn't want her to feel embarrassed and upset about not having a date. So he actually reached out to Steve's parents to try to get Steve to escort Laura to the school dance.
And I feel-
That's interesting.
I feel like he tried to auction her off on Steve more than once though, because there was the time that they went bowling and he had the dream that at bowling they fell in love and she started having babies and the
Oh
baby
yeah,
out
he
left
like
and right.
kissed her, she got pregnant.
Yeah. There were several times he tried to pawn her off. Yeah. They never should have gave us light skinned Harriet.
That's absolutely something that should never have happened. And I think that was the last season of the show too. Like, Harriet went light skinned and they were like, yeah, this
ain't it.
Run this course.
Yeah.
Let's run its course. I think some
Never
go
mind.
ahead.
Nah. Well, fine. Let's touch on it just a little bit.
This is up to it, down to it. Go for it.
I feel like that happened in another show, didn't it?
Fresh Prince.
Fresh Prince.
Fresh Prince of
But I
Bel-Air,
like
The two
But I-
Vivs.
But I hate light skinned Harriet more than I hated light skinned Viv. Light
Light
skinned
skinned Harriet didn't work.
Yeah,
That
like
didn't
at
work.
all. Viv grew on us. At first, we were
She
big
did.
mad. She
Because
kinda
I don't
grew on.
even remember light skin Harriet.
Yeah,
So
Yeah, because she
She
was
was
kind of watered
forgettable.
down. She didn't have that spark that the original Harriet brought to the show.
No, she did not. At
It
all.
was like she gave the vibe like if Carl was going into retirement and he really didn't want to do much, that's the vibe that she had.
and much as you hate to say it, both of the darker characters had backbones.
Yeah.
They were. I know
They were a
women don't
force.
like the term strong, but they were strong.
they
Like,
were
they
a
were-
force. How about
Yeah,
that?
they were a force. They
Can
were.
we say
they
that?
were
Can
solid,
we say that?
Like,
They were a
you know what I'm
force.
saying? That's the kind of woman that you want to go to war with. And like the lighter versions of them were the women that you end up going to war with, not that you want to go to war with
You end up going to war for.
or war with.
Oh yeah, true that. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's a
they
big
were-
point right there. So are we saying that dark-skinned women are more loyal?
I'm saying that the writers of the show pandered to a point that did not need to be made. Well, but in fairness, I think
I feel that. I feel that.
The Fresh Prince part was probably Will's fault. But in general, we saw kind of a changing of the guard with the type of mother, you know what I'm saying, that was beginning to play a role. They get fairer and fairer as shows go on.
That is true. Dang. Now that I think about it, how many dark-skinned, how many?
That
Was
was
Harriet the
actually the
last
point.
one?
That was actually the point I was alluding to. It's like, oh, you
I
know,
feel like it to me, it like in my mind, it stopped at
Dang.
Everybody Hates Chris. Where Pam, you know, Pam from Martin played.
Yeah, Pam, yeah.
That was Everybody Hates
Tisha,
Chris,
Tisha
right?
Campbell.
Well, Tisha Campbell's Gina.
Hmm.
Tashina Arnold.
Right. Duh.
right,
What?
right.
Yeah, Tashina Arnold for Everybody Hates Chris. Like I feel
Tashina
like that was,
Arnold. Thank you.
like that was the last of the Mohicans, and then just fairer and fairer after that.
Dang. I didn't even think about that.
It's real out here in these streets.
Hey, Hash Brown, bring dark-skinned mamas back to television.
Hash Brown.
Is that what the kids say? Hash Brown.
Hash brown,
Back.
hashtag, hashish.
Yeah. Tic-tac-toe sign. Nah, man, this is good stuff. This is good stuff. I think there's some more layers for this. We don't have time for tonight, but I do want to get into the dynamic, the relationship aspect between Carl and Harriet, and then Steve. Well, Steve and his love interest, and then Eddie had his issues too. Some would consider Eddie toxic. I would probably think that a lot of women would have considered Eddie's behavior toxic in dating and in relationships. What y'all think?
Now, but not then. That was a role then. Like Eddie was the man that every woman wanted. You know, he was a handsome man. He was athletic. He was, you know, vocally talented. He carried himself with confidence, and he had very toxic traits about him. But that was who you wanted at the time.
Yeah,
That was that character. Like that character had to exist in those shows because you had to have that. So toxic now, at the time, yeah, probably not. He was your man's man.
Ooh. Now, how did that shape society, or help to shape society? We're not gonna get into it. We're not gonna get into it yet.
Let
We'll
us
save
know
that.
what y'all think in the comments, though.
Yes, tell us in the comments what you think. Tell us who your favorite character was. That's a good one. Can somebody write that down too? One of y'all write that. Yeah, 'cause-
Rich is
I want to go back to that one.
always
That's
the recording guru. I won't call him a secretary.
look. I always say that because I know Richard always has a pen handy. He's always ready.
Always ready, yes.
It's all good. All right, cool. Off of that. Enough of that. Time for another shot as we get into this next subject. Now, as we talking about relationships, and we talked about Carl and being a man and taking care of business, and we talked about Eddie being, you know, having toxic traits, but still being, you know, that, you know, carrying himself with confidence and stuff like that. That should translate into leadership, right? Over time, like those things should translate into leadership. And if you are a husband, father, you know, big brother, you know, you're a leader in your house, uncle, you're a leader in your house, right? Everything starts with the home, and the home goes as we go, right? It starts with us. So with that said, we alluded to this a little bit last week. This is the struggle with leadership. Struggle with leadership. I need a second. I gotta pour my shot too. So hold on.
Pour it up.
Yeah, it's time. All right. There we go. Now I'm ready to go. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about struggling with leadership. Up to it, baby. Okay. I miss doing this with y'all. Up to it, down to it. Bump those who don't do it. We do it because we used to it. So yeah. Drink month. Drink.
I'll go again.
I took one before and I was like, I miss doing that with y'all. So
It's a whole vibe, man.
big shout out again to everybody that had a rough day today. We're trying to turn y'all weekend around.
I'm feeling better already.
That's what I like to hear, man. Because your moment's coming.
And we're here.
I got you. All right, bro. It's gonna be a little bit of a healing moment. But that said, let's look at this real quick. I showed this last week as we were leaving, going off air. Why some men struggle leading in relationships, and I want to get all of y'all's feedback on that. Comments, y'all let us know what you think as well. Let's get to it and hear what this brother has to say. If we can get to volume.
Is that you can't show weakness. That's every animal. When every animal is in survival mode, you have to hide your weaknesses. It's about getting through the next moment. And what we've been through as Black people in this country, we still very much in survival mode. It's harder for you to think long term. So now I got to leave my survival, not my love, not my happiness, not my survival, up to this individual, or I got to lead another individual. And a lot of us haven't reached a place in our own relationship, like with self, to where we healed enough to realize, like, oh my God, like
That's good.
I'm capable of this. This person does trust me. It's not about survival anymore. We passed that. Like, we actually building something here. So I think we definitely, as Black people specifically, have to give ourselves grace. We have one of the most unhealthy relationships with leadership that you could point at.
Interesting. Okay. So a couple of good points made there, I think. Couple of points I would challenge, but that's what we're here for. Hey, LB, another shot? All right, say no more, man. I'm with that.
Well, he said,
right.
so he talked about
big glass. So
So he talked about, you know, what Black people had to go through, still going through, you know, in this country. And, you know, while that does have an impact on, you know, your outlook on things and you know, maybe your emotions, or, you know, just the way that you are now, either building up walls and trying to protect yourself, shield, you know, yourself. I think some of the other things that we also have to look at is just being the environment in which you were raised has another huge, you know, impact. Not, you know, maybe not having both parents, or having both parents, and it's really about balance. And if that imbalance is there, then, you know, if I'm watching, you know, my mom this entire time, you know, and she's been doing every single thing, how then do you expect me to, you know, grow up and then automatically that clicks? No, I'm gonna expect that from, you know, my significant other, because hey, mom's was taking care of everything. So I think there's that dynamic also that you have to look at and take into, you know, consideration, and not just you know, the hardships that Black people as a whole have had, you know, and there's some other things that, you know, we would have to take into consideration as well. You know, what was the community involvement? You know, like, were there other men in that community that could step in, but maybe that parent, you know, whether working so much or whatever it is, did they not get them, you know, involved in that activity, or towards that mentor, that coach, or, you know, it's somebody in that community that could, you know, help shape these young leaders, these young men.
Good point, Q. What's your thought?
I mean, I agree with them too, but also in the same token, I would have to say that we kind of have no middle ground, especially when it comes to men leading in a relationship, because it's kind of like we've gotten backlash in sort of a way, not with only just saying, okay, men can lead in the relationship, but we got the clap back from women saying independent women. So now you got women wanting to fight back saying they bosses, they run stuff. So it's like, it's no kind of middle ground. Like, just let the man lead. But at the same time, we always rely on women for wisdom or maybe another spectrum, just like we provide an option on this show. But like I said, that whole fight for balance and power kind of, I say, put leadership in a bind where it's slipping through the cracks in a way.
Ooh, I want to come back to that point. Kev, what's your thought?
This is so loaded. It's like that's the only thing that's sitting on my mind is this is so loaded, and I think it has a lot to do with what Rich said, that dynamics shift everything. I just think about like even my household. So I grew up, raised by my mother. Both my brothers were in the same house. Seeing what my brothers did shifted the way that I operated because I watched what they did. So any trouble they got in, I learned from them before I had a chance to do it. So I can just imagine that, or not even imagine. For me, my views on relationship are based on not just the things that I've been through, but the things that I've seen. So I do very much relate to this feeling of having to survive in relationship because I had to survive as a teenager. Like I had to survive as a young adult. Like, and my mother did the best she could. But again, with 3 boys and her being the only source of financing, like when my brothers hit college, everything went to them. So at that point, I'm like going into my senior year of high school where I need senior dues, senior trips, graduation, prom, this, and this. And I had to work for all of it. So like that was survival to me. So that kind of stuff shapes your adulthood, whether you realize it or not. So I can very much relate to him saying like, it's an uncomfortable feeling coming out of your survival to just trust that somebody's going to not look at you to be, like whatever, like you're safe in that space. And so, it's what we talk about all the time, like God and therapy. I wish that because I didn't have a dynamic with my father, that I could have been in therapy as a teenager. It would have shifted a lot of things. But because at that point for us was a stigma, unlike it is now. Like therapy and mental health are pushed now. They weren't in, I would say, the mid to late 90s, early 2000s. Like that wasn't a conversation. It existed, but it was a stigma for us. Black people don't go to therapy. That means you're crazy. Black people go to church. That's the only thing you need. So like, once you know better, you do better. But I can wholeheartedly understand that need to survive, and that feeling that whether or not it actually is that you're holding on to your survival. So it's hard to, like let down some of your walls to completely let a person in. I can understand it. It doesn't make it right, but I can understand it. It's loaded.
Yeah.
It's loaded.
It's super loaded because in it, I tried to, I gave a perspective from, what is the start cause of it, or where does it, the root, where does it begin, right? But then
and you were on point with that, by the way.
And so Q and Kev, when they're talking, and now I'm like, okay, relationships, leadership, men need to step up and be men, right? And then I was thinking, all right, so leadership, you when you're a leader, you're no longer just thinking about yourself. You're thinking about others. And so I think that's
If you're a good leader,
well, if you're a good leader, right? If you're a good leader.
you're a
If you're
good leader.
Well, if you're not a good leader, that's why men are struggling with leadership.
Leadership. Say it again.
Because again, that's that survival mode is where I'm trying to survive. So I'm thinking about myself and that I'm trying to survive. And so that's why when you are now this leader, you're thinking of your spouse. If you got kids, you're thinking of your kids and all of that. And now you have to go to the next level and put yourself out there, to be the front line, to protect, provide, to show the way. Now I got somebody that I got to bring up behind me, and I can't just think about myself now. I got to sacrifice and think about this family behind me. And so that survival instinct, though, is that I think he's talking about. Is like, when you get out there, you just focused on protecting yourself. You got so many other things coming at you, whereas you just want to live to see the next day. So, yeah, it's tough. I mean, it's tough. We can't just sit here and say that's it, that one thing.
I agree.
You just want to live to see the next day, like that.
That part. That's the part I'm stuck on. Let me just jump in real quick. It's hard being a man. Period. Okay. It's hard being a man. For any of you, say again.
I said, what a week this has been. Preach the gospel.
I'm saying, listen, this fellas, this one's for y'all. Now, listen, make no mistake about it. We have, on many occasions, and we will continue to defend the sanctity of our ladies, of our queens. We will, continue to push them and continue to ride for them and work for them and all of that. We're going to continue to do that. But fellas, this one's for you. Okay? It's hard out here being a man. Can I get it? Can we take one for that? Can we take one for that? I'm waiting for you, Rich.
No, I took it already, but I'm taking another.
I was gonna say I took one, but I'll take two.
My bad. I didn't realize. My fault. I'm behind. Okay. It's hard being a man. All right. We go through all the things that you can think of, and most men suffer in silence, right? Most men don't talk. Most men, I'm grateful for you guys. I'm grateful for the bros. I'm grateful for, some of the other groups that, I've been allowed and blessed to be a part of, because most men suffer in silence, and those small groups give you opportunity to realize that actually we're all on the same page, that we're all actually really going through the same thing. So, that those small groups can be therapeutic. However, as I always say, it starts with God. It's God and therapy. So those things are important, because I think you need the influence of other men, right? That'll help you grow as a leader. But it's in the word. It's in the word. We got to be real about it. It's in the word. You know what I'm saying? Like, the reason why we struggle with leadership is because we lean to our own understanding. Okay, that's really what it is, right? And so as a result, we glorify things. We tend to glorify things that we shouldn't. We tend to put things and people on pedestals that we shouldn't. And I understand, because a lot of it, to y'all's point, is conditioning, right? Let me ask y'all a question. How can you describe a color you've never seen before?
Can't. It's
at least challenging to, right? at bare minimum, it's going to be hard to. So when I talk to different women who are struggling in dealing with us, right? Because we not in alignment, but that's a whole other conversation. A lot, a lot of what I hear is the men aren't stepping up being men. And to the point of describing a color you've never seen before, if all you've seen is your mother in survival mode, how can you then be in leader and protector mode? To your point, Rich, when you're a leader, you're thinking about others. When you're in survival mode, you're thinking about you, and maybe those closest to you, right? But if that's all you've seen, it's kind of hard to then transition. And shout out to you, Kev, for doing it. In my opinion, from what I've seen, I see you, pretty much every day. So, shout out to you for doing it. But that's hard. That's hard to describe. You're describing a color that you maybe seen glimpses of before. And many men are trying to, from a relationship perspective, trying to describe a color they've never seen before. And that's unfortunate. That's why it starts with us. It all starts with us. And many women are too. Because if all you've seen, if the women have all they've seen is their mother struggle, their mother in survival mode, it's going to be hard for them to submit to leadership. These are things to keep in mind. We talked about vetting last week. These are things to be mindful of. This doesn't mean that it can't happen. Again, Kev defies the odds every day, in my opinion. Straight up. You know what I'm saying? Straight up. And transparently, you never cease to amaze me. Like, you almost at least every week, I can set my clock to about a week. You're gonna do something, and I'm like, hey, he did that too, huh? You know what I'm saying? So you defy the odds every day. So it's not that it can't happen, but it's very hard. It's very hard. And, more men need to step up to show the younger generation what our focus should be, or what the focus should be. Right?
Yeah.
So anyway.
And I also have a point. I don't want people to only think that leadership has to deal with stepping up, but I look at it kind of like sports. If you look at a basketball player, might be MVP, he can be dominating in his sport, but he also knows when he's not in that right place, and that's when somebody else should step in. So say, for example, I'm LeBron James. I just scored 55 points in the game. You don't see LeBron walk off the court and try to dominate golf. If it's not your lane, sometimes being a good leader is stepping out the spotlight and letting somebody who could be your wife, your girlfriend, who might be in that key role in your life, that might be leader in that lane. So knowing your lanes is an important part of leadership. Knowing when to step down and bow out to let somebody else that's capable in your relationship take over for that right lane.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I hear what you're saying, Q.
That's where partnership comes in. I hear that.
Prime example. If listen, for some, I got a buddy of mine. His wife is basically the accountant. Like, she handles all of that stuff. Like, he gives her his account numbers and all of that. Like, that's of course you're married, but still, it's like another person. You giving your bank account and all that information, all that trust. That's a lot of trust. But she leads in that position because he knows that if he does it right, it's going to take him, 2 years to do what she does in, 2 hours. So that's a good point, Q. That is a good point. Knowing what you're good at and being able to have, the trust and confidence in your spouse to go ahead and, I trust you, go handle that. I'm confident that, you're going to turn this 100,000 into $1 million or something. All right.
Yep.
No, and on the real, like, that's That's a life thing, not even just a relationship thing. Tyler Perry just fired all of his accountants because he discovered somehow that the IRS actually owed him money from the amount of taxes that he had been paying. He had overpaid, so they owed him money. His accountants that he pays top dollar to stay on top of his finances missed this, so every one of them got fired. Like when you put people in positions to like keep your life secure, when they fumble the bag, like
Yep.
that's a hard pill to swallow, and it makes you become distrustful of people, and so
Yep.
you know to put that into relationship perspective, like we have to be careful, and it goes back to the vetting process, because when you put your trust in people and they like disappoint you, it's going to make you adjust how you move forward with other people. And so,
Yep.
we can't be reckless in giving of ourselves, because we have to protect that part of us which is sacred. And that's why I just keep going back to, like, this is so loaded. Because I know it's literally juvenile, but we're taught at young ages, like, get all the girls you can, make sure everybody likes you, make sure everybody respects you, be
To your
seen.
point about Eddie Winslow.
Yeah, like you got to play that role. You got to be macho. You got to be this. You got to be that. You got to be a man's man. You got to be, play. Like that's who you got to have, the top this, the best this. You got to always be dressed well. You got to, like, don't take nothing from nobody. Like, who you are is described for you before you get a chance to discover who you are. And
But then also not do any of that.
right.
Because you're not supposed to be chasing clout, because you're not supposed to be like everybody else. You're not supposed to be following the crowd. You're supposed to stand apart. You're supposed to set apart and do your own thing and blaze your own trail. So yes, it's all the above, but then also none of that.
But don't.
But then none of that.
You should be all of this.
All of it and none of it.
But
don't.
also none of it.
We should put that on a
you got to
t-shirt.
get all the women that you can, but then also not that, because then you're
Because
kind of a
should be
male
faithful,
thought.
because you should be faithful, and you should
Right, because you
love
should be
only one
faithful.
person, and you should
and you
wait for
should-
that one.
part.
Yeah.
And you should never be rude. You should never have an ex-girlfriend, because you should have always done it right from the first one, from the first girlfriend when you were 7. Yeah, right? Because that's
though
it. That's it.
Even though you don't date till you're married.
That part.
Yeah.
Not till no dating till after you're married. That's the rule in my house. We got to leave that there. We got to leave it there. We got to leave it there. But I think we got to come back to that. We got to come back to that, because it's important, man. It's important in our families, and for whoever hears it, whoever has the ears to hear, to continue on the right path, or to get on track if you're off track. We got to come back for this. All right, I'm done. I'm through. Fatherhood, because it's still here with the fathers. But Kev, my guy,
He got his
Listen.
haircut today, man. And like I'm just like, I'm still sitting here thinking about, like, and oh my gosh, all right, this is the liquor. But like I'm literally emotional about it. As I sit here and think about it, my father never took me to get my hair cut. Like I can count on one hand with less than 5 fingers the amount of things that he's done for me in my life. And one of those things was never to get my hair cut. My mother put the bowl on our head and gave us the bowl cut until we found Paul's Barbershop in Lanham, and we weren't even getting our hair cut that
I'm
day.
here.
We stopped off at the McDonald's that was on the corner of that shopping center in Lanham, and they had just opened the barbershop, so they were literally going into the stores to bring in customers. And Anthony, who was one of the barbers, saw my mother in McDonald's and was like, I see you got 3 sons. If you bring all 3 of your sons, I'll cut all 3 of their heads for $18. I can literally see this like it was yesterday. So we started to go to Paul's Barbershop when I was 6. So that would have been 6, 8, and 9 for me and my brothers. And we didn't stop going there. I feel like I was still going there until I was 20. But like my father never took me to get a haircut. So today, to take my son to the barber that I've been using, like my barber is the longest relationship I've ever been in. And so like I didn't like preparing for it, which my barber bought him a book called I Love My Haircut. He bought that to the baby shower. And we read that all week this week, preparing for his haircut. And I just like it didn't even click until I was watching hair fall from his head and I was sweeping it up to put it in the bag. Like I'm not joking, like to put it in the bag. His barber autographed the bag. I wrote today's date on it. Like this kind of stuff, I can't put it into words, you know?
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
Wasn't
Yeah. It's real, man. We get real on up to it, down to it, yo. And Kev, like real talk, bro. Like shout out to you, bro. Real talk.
Yeah.
Straight up.
Yeah.
Straight up. And to all the fathers out there, all parents for real, but you know, we talking about the fellas right now. Okay. Shout out to all the fathers out here that, you know, get it done however you get it done, man. You know, look, where you've been and where you are is no indication of where you're going. Okay. So just, you know, keep that in mind. Keep on pressing on. Like I said, it's hard to describe a color you've never seen before, but at the same time, you can borrow from experiences from other people who have seen it, right? So like, you know, myself, for example, and this is not to say that I'm perfect or did it right all the time. I definitely did not do it right all the time. Okay. But I did at least see a variation of what right looks like. You know, my parents were together and married till death did them part. You know what I'm saying? Till my father passed away. So, you know, I did see an idea, and yet I still made mistakes too. So, you know, yes, you get you don't know what it is in the beginning, but you get an idea as you kind of go. And you know what I mean? And you watch other people make moves. And we've been fortunate to be surrounded by great men, you know, who had great role models as fathers, whether it be in church or in the frat or whatever it is. You know what I mean? So anyway, it's about being around the right people, surrounding yourself with the right people. But anyway, because if you don't, you mess around and some piss poor children. Okay? You're going to mess around. You got trash kids. All right?
Be careful who you let in your village, people. Be careful who you let in your village.
Ooh, let me go ahead and grab I poured this shot earlier. We're going to get it in at least one more time. How much time we got? All right, we got just enough time. Just barely.
Let's hit it.
Let's do
Disclaimer.
it. It's about fatherhood.
This ain't no baby. Let's get it.
So I did this with Kev in mind, but this is for all the parents out here, because let's be real. It's hard being a parent. I said it's hard being a man, and it is. It's hard being a parent. It's hard being responsible for a life, and I understand. But ladies and gentlemen, we also got to do our part. Okay? This situation right here, Kev, this for you, dog. All right, I think I'm coming to you first. You want to go last? You want to go last or first?
I'm pulling it together.
All right, bet. So we're gonna come to you first. This woman in DC says the parents should be held responsible for teens who tossed her off a bus. I'm sorry. What? What?
What?
They
Teens tossed her off a bus?
So
What?
they said, forget
What?
throw mama from a train. We got the bus.
I mean,
they lucky.
this does give a whole new meaning to throwing someone under the bus. And that's not okay.
They're lucky to be alive.
Yeah, they lucky some
That
OGs weren't there.
Let's talk about it. Let's look at this, and then here we go. Let's talk about it.
You got kids going to school, but the parents should be held responsible for actions like this. Like I said, I didn't want to come forth, but watching the video myself personally, it kind of like, it startled me, and I'm still startled about it.
Yeah. Would it be okay if I give you a hug?
That's fine.
Because I know so many people care about you.
I'm sorry. I couldn't take the tears.
Yeah, Karen is killing
I
me.
couldn't take the. I'm sorry.
Karen is killing me.
I'm sorry.
She's
That
trying
might
to
have
get
been.
them up.
Thank you, bro.
Okay. I'm gonna let it rock.
I couldn't.
Only because I'm all right. I'm gonna play the other side real quick and just say, you know, news reporters and those people that work at news stations, man, they see more than, you know, we think we get a dump of social media stuff. It's their job to like, they look at even more stuff, even in depth, in detail, uncensored stuff that we don't even see. So, I could feel that coming from a place of she's tired. She's seen too much. And even though she may not have experienced that herself or even know someone, like maybe she does, I don't know, but just that empathy there, that feeling of like, if I was there, I would have stepped in type, like I'm there with you. And I just want to show you that I care.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Respect.
Touche.
You know.
Yep. All right. You win this round, LB.
But let me admit, man, I'm drop kicking every one of them. Like, it's, you would say, you could say, or some could say, like, yeah, that's easy to say now. You weren't there, but no, I've been in enough situations.
No, what?
I've been in enough situations where I know that there's something that clicks, and once that click happens, like I'm dropping all of them. Like what? Like, you out your mind.
So let me ask y'all seriously. Do we fight the kids?
At that
Let
point,
me go on record. At that point, yeah, you got to defend yourself, and you got to beat some kids' candy ass. I'm sorry, But
no, I joke with my students all the time, but they also know how serious I am when I tell them, like, I hit first and ask questions after. Like, there's certain things that you're just not gonna do in my presence, in my classroom, in my room. Like, I almost lost my job today. And it like, to the average person, it wouldn't be that deep, but to me it was. So like, I do a duty every morning. I come in, I play music on my laptop while kids are coming in to go to one of 3 places that they're supposed to be in the building before the bell rings to go to class, because of course, students get to school earlier than actual classes start. So until 7:35, they're either supposed to go to the auditorium, cafeteria, or gymnasium. So I've got the auditorium side. All kids are supposed to go into the auditorium once you enter my building. So I'm playing music as they make their way in. It's a nice little vibe, positive music filled with, uplifting lyrics and affirmations and all of this stuff. Like, come get a vibe. 99% of the time, students they come in, if they know the song, they'll sing along as they're walking, and they keep it moving. I had to let a teacher into the building, so I walked away from my laptop. When I came back, there was a group of kids in the lobby standing around. Yo, y'all know y'all supposed to be auditorium, gymnasium, cafeteria. Man, whatever. No. Hear me. Auditorium, gymnasium, cafeteria. I stopped talking. I hear a ton of profanity behind me. My laptop has been changed to 21 Savage. So not only are you in a place where you don't belong, but you've now touched my MacBook, my expensive computer that like you had to go out of your way, come up to my computer, have the wherewithal to open a tab, and
What?
you went out your way to do this. So I was like, yo,
What?
don't ever touch my laptop. Like, don't think, you know what I'm saying? Whatever. I began to get cussed out by 7-8 kids at a time. And like, I went black and made my way towards them. Had it not been for the veil of Jesus, I would have lost my job today. But they knew enough when they saw me coming to go the opposite way. Like, these kids are brazen, and it's the 1%. However, the 1% can get their ass whooped. Like, we're not going to do disrespect. We're not going to do none of that stuff, because it's the fact that you haven't had your ass whooped that you feel like you can continue to carry on like this. Your parents may not be the ones to do it, but there's a dark alley with your name on it. And I dare you to come in this space, and I promise you, like, it's gonna be the last time that you disrespect an adult like that. Like, I'm not, and we talked about this last week, I'm not the type to put my hands on kids for simple things. However, there's a line, and at the line
limit,
you need to find out. You need to find out what the real world is like before you have to find out what the real world is like.
Straight up.
That part.
Straight up.
That part. That's real.
Trying to find out.
That's real.
Yeah.
The only thing I thought of when I first saw that video, I was like, yo, what if that was my mother? What if that was my grandmother? What if that was my aunt? You know?
Thank you.
And the sad part is, usually there's only the one in the group, and the one in that group is the one that lashes out, and the others are just following. So, but it's the same in the reverse. If somebody on that bus would have stepped up and stepped to him, then some others more than likely would have jumped up and would have pulled them kids up off of her. It's the same in reverse. It's probably one of those kids was the main one, was the hothead, and had the dumb idea. I'm big and bad. Let me, come on. We're gonna kick her off.
But let me ask a question though. Where was any enforcement, law enforcement? That's a good point. Like, excuse me, these school bus drivers, they're not 28 and spry. You know what I'm saying? They 50, 60, some of them 70 years old. You know what I'm saying?
You mean public?
That wasn't school bus. That was public transportation.
That was public transportation. That wasn't school bus.
Fox 5, that's DC. DC kids ride regular metro buses to get to school.
So,
that's not a school bus. You wouldn't have like elderly people on a school bus. That's public.
You're right. Because I thought I saw teenagers and I immediately thought school bus, because I knew they were on their way home from school. I knew that. So I immediately thought school bus. My apologies. My mistake. Again, where was any enforcement? Do they have transit police, anything like that?
And they have transit police. Two, like, the bus driver literally could have kept everyone on the bus while they called for police, and police could have met them at any point in the route. I feel like there are adults that are truly fearful of kids, and particularly teenagers at this point. So the bus driver did not want to get involved for fear of whatever. Like,
why is that? Why is that?
Policies. It could have been policies. It could have been fear of losing his job. It could have been, the legal ramifications.
I was say, kids carry guns nowadays. You know what I'm saying? Like, kids have access to guns and knives and tasers and mace, and like, these are, like, all the stuff we see in regular school. So God only
So
knows.
so we got look, we got 5 minutes. So let me ask y'all. So knowing that, do you support gun control?
I've been feeling like we needed gun control. Like you look at the other countries who have strict gun laws and don't allow you to have whatever, and the amount, the discrepancy in gun violence and even violence in general in other countries versus the United States is like it's night and day. And so, like, carry. We don't need assault weapons, and we need to like be more responsible for who can get a weapon. And we need it's too much stuff that I feel like
What I'm saying is, under no circumstances, though, no law would support a 15-year-old. No law would support a teenager carrying a gun. So, knowing that, what level of control or what level of gun control should there be?
It would most likely be on the punishment side. Like, if because too often, because you're either in that line of adulthood, do they drop it back down to minor things? No. I don't care if you're 7. If a gun is in your possession, you're an adult. The minute you feel like you need a gun in your hand, you're an adult. So jail for life. Like, your life is over. If you
I agree.
Your life is over. So like that's where it starts for me.
I agree with that. Now, that said, in the interest of time, we got to come back. But with that said, should the parents be charged in an event like that? Let's say
something needs to happen.
10-year-old is found with a gun, because under no circumstances should anybody under, in my opinion, 25, but I understand 18. Okay. Nobody under the age of 18 should have a gun. Period. That's illegal, period. Right?
Well, not completely illegal. So, like, because of course I come back from the Eastern Shore. Kids on that end, they hunt. And they hunt at 12, so like they know how to shoot
hunting rifles, yeah.
Right, at 12, 13, 14, so like my first year, one of my students came in. She was in the 6th grade, Olivia Santos, and she was like, Mr. Lewis pulled out her phone and was like, Saturday, I shot a 4-point deer, a 4-point buck, and showed me a picture of it. Hit it right between the eyes at 12. Nice. And I was like, you know what? We're gonna be best friends, because in my mind, little Olivia Santos was a murderer. Like, you know what I'm saying? So like, if she decided to shoot up the school as a marksman, you cool with Mr. Lewis. You know what I'm saying? So my life gonna be spared. And she became my best friend from that day on. And like, literally, like, I took a trip this summer with K2. We went to see her at her job, because we still gonna be best friends. Because again, I don't ever want there to be a point where the marksman feels like I was one of them. You know what I'm saying? She 21, 22. 23, got a full job. She an EMT, but still can shoot you moving from 70 yards away. Like, you not. So like, I understand aspects of it. However, we wild as fuck.
Yeah, that's definitely something. That's definitely something we can get into, in another episode, man.
Ooh, it's so many layers. That's why we do what we do. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, we hope y'all had a good time. We got to get out of here. Got to respect everybody's time, man. But we're going to be back. There's going to be more stuff coming back. I promise you, the bros, there's more, okay? Last words. Is that another shot? LB? What?
But I'll put it, but I'll put another one. I don't give a shit,
I'm with it. Hey, man, let's go in order. Last words, Kev. We'll start with you, bro.
Again, from the emotional side of me, I just want to, continue to push parents to do the best you can. Show up every day. Like, your kids don't care how much money you have. Your kids don't care what kind of job you have, what kind of car you drive, what kind of house you live in. They care about if you're making time for them, and if you genuinely care about who they are and how they feel. So show up every day, do the best you can, and I promise you, they're gonna meet you on the other side. God bless you all, family over everything.
Q.
My word of wisdom for tonight before we go: always find the best version and be the best version of yourself each and every day, because you never know what that might lead to. Instead of sitting around wondering about other people's blessings, don't be bitter, be better.
Beautiful. King Rich.
Yes, I'm gonna circle back to what I said in the beginning. Let go, let God, man. And that doesn't mean stop working, right? That just means, you know, cast your cares upon Him. That just means, you know, you can't do it yourself. Rely on Him. So yeah, take that with you, man. Have a good weekend. Thank y'all for joining us.
Absolutely, man. We love each and every one of you guys. And listen, again, it's about getting in alignment, man. In the end, if you lean on your own understanding, you're not going to go very far, right? Ask me how I know. Ask me how I know. All right? I promise you. I've done it wrong a million times. And there's one way.
Yeah.
Right? All right. God and therapy. But God first. Seek first the kingdom and His righteousness. All right. That's it. We love y'all, man. We out of here.
Like,
We outta here,
subscribe,
man.
share. Like,
Tell
subscribe,
a
share.
friend. To tell a friend.
Tell a friend.
One more for the road.
Until then.
Shout out
Next
to my
week,
barber.
that water will be wine.
Yeah. Shout out to my barber, Carlton You Dig. He got me and my son out the way. It's a beautiful day. Carlton You Dig.
Beautiful.
What up?
True story.
There we go. We out of here, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks again for rolling with us. Like, share, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend. Join us next week. More content soon to come. We promise. We out of here. Peace.
Later.